All right, guys, welcome to the bullshit machine, the BS machine. On this episode 34, I have this amazing woman on the show, Zoe Loretta, and the reason I'll say hi. G'day, Zoe. How are you?
G'day, I'm good. How are you?
Good. And just for your information, listeners or viewers, the reason I want to get Zoe on is because when you come across those little golden nuggets in life where you just sort of come across someone and they're so good at what they do, and they're just that they've landed in what they're supposed to be doing. And I met Zoe and had a reading from Zoe for tarot cards. And I myself, I rarely put my trust in these type of of things like psychics and tarot cards and stuff. But with Zoe, she's so good at it that it's almost like she put me at ease to show me that this stuff is actually real. So that's why I wanted to get you on, and welcome to the BS machine, Zozo.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be on with you today. And yeah, it's some lovely words. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Well, they're true. They're true words, and so I don't know. It'd be good to hear, just to start off with,
Yep.
for the people listening or viewing, viewing with us, like what's your background? Like, how did you even fall into this stuff?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Um, well, it's definitely something that happened as a slow process. I would say it wasn't like I just picked up the tarot and was like, all right, now I'm going to be a tarot card reader and that's who I am. It was definitely something that unfolded. And I would say probably due to the fact that I came to a point in my life where I was like, I just don't know who I am and I need to stop pretending. It was like I was pretending to be someone else. And it was like I was pretending to, fit into this mold that was expected of me from the outside society influences, that sort of thing. And it was like I just all of a sudden was looking at myself from an outside perspective and going, Zoe, what the fuck? Like, what are you doing? And it was this interesting journey of, I think the first thing that really sort of happened was when I got a call around my sister. She was quite ill. She's always had she always had issues with her health, and basically, Mum said that she's only got a couple of days to live, and I basically was like, it was like I was in just like this mode of panic, and I started from that point to really start looking at, what was it that I wanted for myself. And right then, I was stuck in this place of trying to climb the corporate ladder. I was also, previous to that, I would say about 2 years, I'd had some really bad health issues and found myself in hospital after having a heart attack. And
Wow. A
yeah,
heart attack at how old?
I was 30 years old. So, and I was like under this stress and pressure. I had, I was living this life that was, it was like I was trying to suppress pain of,
Mm.
everything that was sort of like I was doing, in terms of trying to sort of reach this goal of, being the best in the corporate world, and then also, trying to impress other people and not really looking at myself and what I wanted. And as a child growing up, I was very much like into creativity. I was a dancer, I was a singer, I loved art, all of those things like was like my passion. And then as I found myself, becoming an adult, I was stuck in this world of all of a sudden working for an accounting company, where I was like accounting software. And I'm thinking, this is not my passion. What am I doing?
Yeah.
And so, after having that scare with my sister, and looking at myself going, what is it that I want to do? I actually started to look at how can I start giving myself more self-love, giving myself more around what it is that I deserve, and so, yeah, so it got to this point where it was actually a friend of mine who she sent me a YouTube video, and yeah, she was like, oh my God, you have to watch this tarot card reader. She's amazing. And I was like, oh, okay. I watched it, and I watched it thinking, yeah, actually that does relate to her because it was her star sign. And I was thinking, well, maybe I'll watch my star sign and see, what happens. And I watched my star sign, and it was like she was directly talking to me. And I was like, how is she doing that? And I'm like, there's 50,000 followers on there that are thinking probably the same exact thing. But I was so fascinated that it was just so detailed and so on point around everything that I was going through in my life at that time, around self-discovery, and around sort of looking at, okay, what is it that I actually want to achieve? And, at the end of my life, be happy with what I've done and where I've been, and so, looking at that tarot card reading, I was like hooked. It was like, wow, okay. And then I just started watching them all the time. Like, I was just like, this is something that I could really, really get into, and at first it was just like, just something that I did was watch and watch and watch and watch. And at that time I was going through, I think, a breakup. That's right. Yeah. I was going through a breakup. And it had really hit me hard because it was a very codependent relationship. And I had basically thought it was the end of the world when he left me, and it was like he held all my happiness in his hands, and then poof, it was gone.
It was gone.
Yeah. It was just like so heartbreaking. And I started to, like, I was just playing the victim, and I was sitting at home. I would come home from work, really pumping out, all this just hard day at work, just slogging away. And I'd come home, and the first thing I would do would be like, I need a joint. And I'm just like, I need to smoke weed to like drown my sorrows. And basically it was just smoking my life away after the breakup, and realizing that I was making these really unhealthy choices, but it was the only thing that I could do to stop the pain of the breakup. And I found myself a year later after the breakup still doing the same thing, coming home from work, sitting on the couch, smoking weed, and thinking, where the hell is my life going?
Yeah.
And it was like poof. And then all of a sudden one day, I'd come home and I was just sitting on the couch again, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, something's like feels not right in my chest. And I was like, oh, this is painful. And I was like, oh, it'll go away. And then it didn't go away. And I was like, what is happening to me? What is going on? And then my housemate came home and he's like, are you okay? And I'm like, I don't think so. I've got to go to the hospital. Like, I got to go. Like, and so from that point, I like passed out. I don't really remember what happened. I just remember this like excruciating pain of like, it felt like someone was like heavy on my chest. And it got to the point where I couldn't really think straight, because my heart was just racing like
crazy.
It was crazy. And
that was the heart attack.
That was the heart attack. I found myself in hospital with all these doctors around me. I sort of woke up and I'm like, what's going on? And the doctor had said to me, we think you've just had a heart attack. And I was like, what?
Dude, I'm 30. I don't have no heart attack.
Exactly. I was like, how could this be happening? I'm so young. Like,
yeah.
And it, like, I didn't really come to terms with it straight away. But then after like a week of being in hospital, doing all these tests and finding out that I had actually a genetic disorder that had sort of been passed down from my family, from my mum's side of the family, where, my heart was actually too big, and it was thick. There was a thickening of the wall. But because of all of the stress that I'd been going through at work, the stress I'd been going through with the breakup, the stress I'd been going through with, smoking, not looking after myself, all those things, it just all piled up on top of each other. And it was like, and
And you
then,
had to deal with that all in one
all in
moment.
one go,
Yeah.
and then the stress of my sister as well, being quite ill. So it was just like I had all these, what you would call in the tarot, a tower moment. So in the tarot, there's a card. Actually, I've got my cards here. So
Yeah.
this card here, for those of you who
Yeah.
can't see it, it's like a tower that gets struck by lightning, and it tumbles over.
Tumbles over. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's that unexpected change.
Yeah.
That
It's
unex-
sort of
yeah.
like when and God, I've had situations like this in my life too, where you keep shoving stuff under the rug, shove it under the rug, shove it under the rug, be all right, be all right, be all right,
Yeah.
and then you're forced to deal with everything
Yeah.
within one split of time.
Exactly.
That is crazy. And so from that point,
Yes.
is that when you started asking, I guess, more empowering questions, and that led
Exactly.
you to the tarot? So what happened
Exactly.
from there?
Yeah, from there, so it was like I had started watching those videos, and there was like this little voice in the back of my mind going, hey, I can change my life. I can, this is not a good way to be operating in this victim mode mentality of like blaming everyone else, like blaming my ex-partner for leaving me. And it was like I was telling myself I'm not worthy. And then blaming, my heart attack. Oh, well, there's nothing I could have done about that. That's hereditary. It was like I was, for a while there after the heart attack and after the breakup, I was still in this mode of like, I'm the victim. But it was like a year after the heart attack and still smoking, by the way. I was still making really unhealthy choices. So it was just this light bulb moment of, after really going through those readings and listening to those readings, I was like, I need to change. I need to change my life. And so I tried to quit smoking, and I couldn't. I was like, oh, I'll give it a go. And then I was like, whoa, I was back on it again. And it took me 3 times to go, actually, I need help. Like, I
Yeah.
need help from outside myself to do this. And I just stumbled across a hypnotist, actually. And I was like, that's what I need to do. I need to go and see a hypnotist to really try and help me get out of this rut. And I had one session with her, and that's when my life just completely changed.
Yeah.
I stopped smoking. I stopped drinking. I stopped watching TV. I got rid of my TV. It was like, it was insane. It was like all of a sudden the world had opened up to me.
Yeah.
And it was like I had now had space to let in, more. And it was through the tarot that really helped me. It was like I started to, after watching Missy, her name is, this tarot card reader, after watching her, I was like, I'm going to get my own deck and I'm just going to use it on myself, and that's where it started. I started using the deck on myself and learning more and more about the tarot. And it was so fascinating to find that the tarot actually paints a story. There's a, I don't know whether you know much about the tarot, Tommy, but basically there is a story in the major arcana cards, and it's known as the Fool's Journey. And the Fool is us. The Fool is when we come into the world. It's the very, very first card. It's actually number 0 in the tarot. And the Fool speaks about that childlike mind. It's like I'm stepping into the world for the very first time. I don't know the dangers. I don't know, anything, because I'm starting to, experiencing all these things for the first time. And the Fool takes that leap of faith. And you can see here, he jumps off a cliff.
Yeah.
And he can't actually see what's below him, where he lands. And I was understanding and learning about the tarot and looking at myself and going, hey, that journey, that Fool's journey, I've actually been through now. The Fool goes from learning about himself in the 3D world, in this physical world, where he learns his experiences from his mom and from his dad. He understands the feminine and the masculine. He then goes into a relationship and learns about love, and how does he fit in when it comes to love and choices around love. And also tradition as well. There's the Hierophant card, which talks about, the traditional ways of thinking, and the traditional ways of doing things in the world, that we're the expectations that we have from others. And then it changes when the Fool leaves that environment. It's like, okay, now I've done with the 3D world. I'm starting to recognize how I grow spiritually. And he goes through this moment of it's called the hermit phase, where he sort of goes within, and he's that seeker of knowledge. And it comes from a bit of a sort of more of a dark place of like unraveling and discovering, okay, well, who am I? And, what is my place in the world? And it's like that I'm off autopilot now, and I'm now giving myself space and time to really think about, who I am, right? And it's like there's this change of perspective. And still sometimes you feel a bit tired because you're in this world where you feel restricted, I definitely felt restricted, where I was in this job that I pretty much didn't really like, I pretty much hated,
And look, that's the thing, isn't it? It's like a lot of even the stuff you're talking about when you went through that experience where everything just came down, and that tower you were talking about with the lightning and the thunderstorms and everything's going on. I mean, if you look around the world at the moment, I feel like a lot of that's sort of happening in the world as we speak. And it'd be so good to know from your perspective, because you're really quickly becoming like an expert in the community, and so, no, well, you are. I mean, just deal with it, I guess. and it's like, it'd be so cool to know from you and the way that you work with the cards and the relationship that you have with the tarot cards. It'd be so cool to know, for people that are looking for external guidance, is this what should be your expectation when, one, looking for a tarot reader, and two, what should be your expectation from a read? Because I feel like a lot of people go into a tarot read expecting all the fucking answers and once again a magic pill.
Yeah.
And so it'll be cool to hear your perspective, because, when I had the reading with you, I was blown away. And since then, that was about 2 months ago, everything you said verbatim is full out happening as you said.
No,
or as the card said.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're right, because sometimes you'll get people that come in and they like, just give me the answer of what I'm supposed to be doing, and that's coming. Now I'm expecting someone externally to tell me what to do, when really it is about going within, and it's like from the inside out. It's like, I suppose with the tarot, it is more about an energy read for me. So I believe that we all have free will. Like, I believe that we're not set out, this is your life and that's it. I believe that we have all these external experiences that come to us, but then it's our choice on how we react or how we act. And that's what then sort of creates that momentum of energy, the way that it flows. And so I like to explain it a bit like the weather forecast, right? So why do we have the weather forecast? Because we need to sort of expect what's coming. If we're going on a camping trip, and we see the weather forecast is going to rain, we need to be prepared for that. So but there is that chance that it might not rain. Okay, there is that chance that it's not 100% it's going to rain and this is the way that it goes, right? Similar with the tarot, right? So it's like, here's the forecast of what I can see, because of the energy and the space that you're in right now, the circumstances that are unraveling, and I see that in the tarot. It's like it comes to me in a story. It's like I can see what's in that present moment, and when I unpack that with the client or the customer, then it's like this sense of relief for them, because they're like, wow, how did you know what situation I'm in? And it's like, yep, this is what I can see and this is the energy that it brings. But then moving forward into the future, here is what the most likely forecast will be. Okay. Now, I don't say to the person, say for instance, they're having trouble in their love life. I don't say, you need to break up with this person, right? I say, here are the things that could unfold, right? And if we go in this direction, this is what's going to play out. If we go in this direction, this is what's going to play out. So it's really looking at energy cycles, I suppose, and the way that the world really works is through that, making a decision, creating the action, which then creates that response, and that's what the tarot is. The tarot really is talking about that energy cycle, and I feel like, yeah, I do understand, because when what you're saying about that, I'm coming to understand what my future is, and that's set in stone, I actually was probably similar to that as well. That was my expectation of a fortune teller or a psychic or someone who's, in that space. And let me tell you now, I'm like, now I understand, like, you cannot expect someone else to know everything about you and what's going to happen. If that was the case, I'd be a millionaire.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it is more about that process of unpacking something. It really is a healing process, I find, for a lot of my clients and a lot of people that I see. They come to me, and after the reading, they say, this is actually a confirmation of what I was feeling, and this is a confirmation and a relief for me to know that, this is something that we can unpack and talk about, and to know that this is, I'm not alone in this, that's the other thing. And I connect very much so with people through energy. You've got a lot of different types of tarot readers and different types of psychics. For me, it's through feeling, clairsentient is what they call it. Also clairvoyance a little bit. I do get images of pictures and things like that, but it's up to me to then interpret those images and interpret the energy of those images, because it's like playing charades. Really.
Yeah
It's like all of a sudden I'm like, I see something and then I think, okay, well, what does that mean to me? I work with guides. I would say, like, I don't know how to explain what that is, but a guide would be a higher self, or there is something I feel that is there that is helping me channel what's going on, and I feel like it's energy. I feel like, and I call them the guides because that's just the easiest name, the label that you can use.
Mm.
But this is what drops in. It's like it drops in visuals. It drops in sometimes like sayings or lyrics. Sometimes I get songs.
Songs, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Would
And
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. No, it's similar to well, intuitive work. I mean, I remember when I was working with one of my first clients, and
Yep.
I was doing like an intuitive read on her,
Yep.
and very similar. Like I had a, I just sort of close my eyes and just tune into,
Mm.
I tune into her, and I got this vision of like standing in like a palace,
Yep.
and I was looking up at this painting, and it had like golden arches, and
Oh,
then I'm going, fuck, and I'm like, how the fuck does this relate to the read? And
yeah.
then I just trusted the guidance, what was coming,
Yeah.
and I started telling her that, that she comes from a really, really almost royalty type family that's got
Mm.
a shit ton of money, and she comes from like a lot of wealth, and I just kept talking about that, how her family's all over the place, and there's no, all these things came all from a painting,
Yeah.
and when I opened my eyes, I did like a 15-minute read on her.
Yep.
She was in the chair bawling her eyes out, and I didn't even know. I was just unpacking the painting, and so yeah, that's probably, a similar thing to the
Mm.
guides, where you have to trust that when you close your eyes and you tune in, and you'll get either a voice or lyrics or whatever it is that you get, and you've just got to trust that you unpack it. And then for you, it's sort of so cool, because you get to use you've got this incredible connection with the tarot cards as well. So you use
Mm.
your you're like this double whammy. You've got your guides or intuition or whatever, and then you've got the cards as well, which you use to really help you tell the story.
Yeah.
It's so cool. And so, but you know what? Like, um, what would be really cool to understand from your perspective, Zoe, is for someone, let's say, for someone that's listening to this podcast, and that maybe they've had a couple of tarot reads, or they've been to a psychic, or whatever, and they're still in like a really shitty place in life, and they, or either that, or someone that just wouldn't, they're like, oh, I'm not like that, I wouldn't go do tarot, that's just all bullshit and airy fairy stuff,
Yeah.
like for someone like that might be listening, what would be your advice in terms of how to utilize this work?
Mm. So I think for me, it's interesting you say that because I was a bit similar to that. I had those beliefs. I was like, before all of this, I was like, how does that work? And that's not real. And and it has been a bit of a journey for me to really break free from that. And I still sometimes struggle, still sometimes think, oh, is this person going to believe what I'm saying? Have they put me in a box where it's like you're a scammer or all of this sort of stuff? It's like, and I'm like, and sometimes I feel like I'm an imposter. I'm like, what,
Mm,
is this real? And then, but when I see the results, when I see someone walking away, I had a woman um, come to me, and a similar thing happened when I was channeling, and her brother came through, and her brother had passed, and it was like all of a sudden I was him, and I'd sort of taken on this personality of this brother, and was speaking, and then I woke up and she was like crying, and just she just was like so grateful for everything that I had been able to say. And in that moment, I was like, I didn't know what I was saying or what I was doing. But after that, she gave up her party life. She started making changes, and it was all because of that one reading. And I was like, whoa. Okay, this is obviously something that can really help people, and it's not about, um, you know, ex- it's not about testing someone to see how good they are in telling my fortune. It's really about, you have to come into the reading you know, being open and accepting to hear what has to come through, you know, if you're that particular type of person who doesn't really, you know, like it or think it's all bullshit, then maybe it's not for you. You know, maybe when you come into it, you're going to have your backup, but it's more about being able to release that and be open to it and to really take on board, oh, okay, here are some things that I can really might be able to take away with, you know, and really help me, you know, moving forward. And I don't think I've ever really had anyone that's come in, you know, that hasn't wanted a reading, you know.
Yeah,
I've
it's like, uh, here's
yeah,
your money. I don't actually want this
yeah,
read. So, yeah, no. Obviously, once you end up with you're in a place where
yeah,
you wanted to get the guidance. Absolutely. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Do you know what just came to me? It's funny as you were talking. Then, I remember there was this time when when like earlier on at the start of before I started seeing people, you know, on one-on-ones and stuff, there was this time, the first sort of 6 or 8 months where I fucking nailed every single client. Like it was so cool. And I almost got addicted to the fact of how good I thought I was, right? And then what started happening is after that, when I started getting new clients, I actually tried to find them before they came on Instagram or Facebook or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd find them and I'd like try and get the read done before they came, and
Uh-huh.
like looked at their things and you know tried to find out and and then they came and I thought I was like, this is gonna, and I fucked all of them up.
Yes. You got
And so I'm like, all right, I'm never doing that again, because I realized that it's like it's in them. You've got to be
yeah.
there with them in that moment. That's who they are in that moment. I mean, do you feel that
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Because
Mm,
I think similarly, I started to get like at first it was like I was doing it with my friends and family, and then you know, everyone was like, "Whoa, this is so good!" You know, you come up with all these cool things, and yeah, I was sort of nailing it. Um, and then, you know, you get to this point where you're like, you start feeling the pressure, and I was like, I've got to make sure that I'm on point and that I do my research. And then I'm like, I've got to make sure that, you know, I think this person is going to think this and this and this before they
yeah.
came, you know, for a reading. And similarly to what you said, is I was like in my head too much
Yeah.
and I didn't let it flow. You know, I did
Mm,
have some, maybe one or two incidences where I was like doing readings and I'm like, oh my God, my ego is taking over here.
yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like not in my flow. I was not trusting what I was. Sometimes, you know, you'd hear this thing, this little voice and saying, you know, this is how, you know, like say for instance, you know, she's having trouble with her father at the moment, and I'd be like, no, 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 that can't be right, you know, and
Mm,
like my ego would get in the way, and then they'd be like, oh, I'm actually having trouble with my father, and I'd be like, oh, why didn't I just say that? So
yeah. Yeah.
yeah, you've got to be, you're very on point there with that, because now what I found is I have to make sure I have a routine of how to step into that space.
Mm,
So I use basically a routine of meditation. I say some words around, you know, bringing in what's for the highest good. I want to make sure that this person has accurate and healing readings. I'll say all this stuff out loud before my client comes in. I'll make sure I set up the space with incense so that it really, that smell and that environment makes me get into this channeling mode. And if I have that routine, then I know that I'm going to be safe in what I do,
mm,
you know.
mm,
So as long as I do that, then I can release whatever pressure I have on myself to get it right, you know.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So interesting, Zoe. It's very, very cool. And then what would you say um in terms of where the world is going at the moment, what would you say is something that is super important for people to tune into or to lock into, or what do you think is the most important thing for people at the moment as a whole
Yeah.
need to sort of look at?
Yeah. That's a good question around. I think around today, we've had this struggle around COVID, of course, because
Mm,
we've all now been forced at some point probably to switch off, and to get out of that autopilot routine. And through that period, it's uh, only when we're quiet that things can come to the surface, and that we can start to, I guess, experience, or bring up, what it is that we might have been suppressing, or things that we might have been holding on to that we haven't dealt with from the past, from our childhood, all those sorts of things. And I think what's important is to, when these things come up, is to don't judge them, and don't suppress, and don't fear them, because everyone goes through this. Everyone goes through their struggles. Everyone has traumas that they might have had to deal with, and I feel like what the most important thing is to not fear or being vulnerable. And it's okay now. I feel like we're sort of starting to accept it a little bit more, probably not enough yet, where men have to be tough, and you can't show emotion, all that sort of stuff. But I feel like now the world is starting to sort of loosen up a little bit, to break that mold. My partner is currently opening a crystal business, and he's like a tradie,
very cool.
very like left wing of whatever, he's expected to be, he's a very blokey bloke.
Mm.
But now he's taking this risk to to open up a crystal shop or business online, where he's like, is this a bit girly? And I'm like, no.
No, you go. Yeah.
But yeah, going back to that, what can we, start to really make sure that we focus on in today, is to really understand, okay, it's okay to have, whatever it is that's lying underneath come to the surface, to unpack it, to ask for, support with people that you feel you trust and confident, in. And I feel like that once you sort of move and shift that energy underneath, it allows you to start to grow. This is what happened to me. I was always ashamed of drinking and smoking and, being this party girl that, would make a fool out of herself. And so I just sort of tucked that away and didn't deal with it. But over the, past couple of years, I've been really coming to terms with, okay, an acceptance of that was me then. I was only doing the best that I could at the time. And now look how it's actually allowed me to grow to be where I am today, So I think, take what you were asking. I think what's really important is to not suppress, to not fear, and allow yourselves, give yourself permission to be vulnerable, and to, give yourself time and space to do so. It doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah. You know what would be cool if like obviously there's well, not the whole world is listening to the BS machine, right? But there's definitely a select few people that do listen in from around the globe, and I reckon it'd be cool. And maybe you think this is not, it wouldn't work or whatever, but can you like maybe just do a little read for the people listening to on the podcast and see, I'm sure that it'll be. Like I don't know, would that work? Just to do a little read, and because I reckon that whatever the and we'd have to do like a full read or whatever.
Yeah.
But just maybe a few key points of what you reckon the people listening and hearing our voices right now,
Need to hear.
yeah, what do they need to hear? And I wouldn't be surprised if you're going to just nail it for a lot of us. But let's see. And it's
All
not like
right.
putting you to the test or anything. But I
No,
mean,
no, that's okay. That's
can we
fine.
do that?
But yeah, we can. I'm going to
Yeah,
grab the rest of it because I've only got a few of my tarot cards. But I'll
yeah,
grab
cool,
the
cool.
Give me a sec.
Yeah,
Okay. Alrighty. Let's see. Okay. So I'll just make sure I get these babies.
is that what you call them, babies?
Yeah, my little babies.
Little babies.
Okay, let's see. I'll put these in. All right, so I'll just show you my cards. It's funny, my cards are still this very first deck that I bought.
Really
Yeah, nearly 3 years ago.
crazy.
I still use the same ones today. I've got plenty of other decks, but
Yeah.
I just always get drawn to this deck.
So before you begin, do we need to, like, even though this is like, well, you know what? It's like everything is connected on all levels of time and space. So do we need to close our eyes or anything, or what do we do? Do we need to tune in? You tell us.
It'd be good because I guess my way of tuning in is shuffling. I have this like momentum and this rhythm of getting the shuffle. I can already feel the energy shifting and changing. I can feel it in my hands and in my body. And it's kind of like a lighter energy.
I definitely feel it too. Just
feel
an
it?
FYI, yeah.
Yeah.
My eyes are starting to water and stuff. So yeah, I definitely feel it. So let's do it.
So I just will close my eyes, shuffle. I like to have my feet planted as well, like 2 feet on the ground, to connect to the energy of the earth. And then I will just set the intention now of, what do the listeners need to hear right now? What needs to come to the surface? Okay, so we've got 3 cards.
Give it to us, Zozo.
Right. Okay, so we've got 3 cards. We've got 3 minor arcana cards. So the first card we've got is the 7 of Wands. Then we've got the 3 of Cups, and then also the 4 of Cups. Okay, so what I'm definitely picking up from this is, like, at the present moment, there is like this energy of perseverance. Okay, so I'm feeling like at the moment in the collective, there's this want to, or I guess there's this like this understanding that people are trying to really rise up and rise above this expectations that are being laid on them. You can see that in this particular card, there's a lot of people surrounding this one gentleman that is sort of like battling a little bit. Now, for me, I'm actually picking up on not only are there expectations of you from an external point of view, but it's become an inner expectation. For me, I feel like there's this battle of I'm trying to stop with the judgment on myself. Okay, it's like I'm trying to now sort of really make sure that I can push through these expectations that I have on myself to be able to persevere through to what I want. Okay, that's what's coming out in this particular card. It's very it's a very like card that sort of brings through an energy of like I said before, that persevering. Okay, wanting to break free, I would say, break free from something. I feel like what's important now is calling on your support network. Okay, the reason I say this is 3 of Cups coming out is that you can see a circle of friends here. And they come together and they celebrate and they basically, on the same wavelength when it comes to wanting to support each other and achieve. So I do feel like community is really important. I feel like in order to break free from expectations of judgment and things that you sort of place on yourself, the way to shift and move that energy is through the support network. Okay, so through things like being able to call on friends, being able to do a coaching sessions, being able to get a tarot card reading, any of these things are what's going to help you really sort of move that energy through and be able to sort of persevere through this judgment that you're placing on yourself. I do feel like as well there's an element of sometimes not being able to understand what is actually in front of me, right? The reason I say this is because the Four of Cups has come out, and you can see in this card there is a gentleman who is pouring out this water from the cup, and it's like I'm wasting away what is going on for me right now. It's like I feel like I'm not satisfied. I'm actually a little bit bored with what's going on. And what is important in this card is to recognize there's actually opportunities right in front of us. You can see this particular card, there's the Three Cups that he's not even paying attention to. And these are opportunities that are within our reach. So I do feel like, for the collective right now, what's important is to be able to learn and know how to shift your perspective, your mindset onto knowing that there are opportunities that are available to us and they're within our reach. It's about being able to now grab those, really be able to make sure that you're not letting them go to waste. This is what's important right now. So yeah, I think that's pretty much what's come through.
Very cool. Yeah, love it. Yep. No, I mean, I definitely resonate. Well, I definitely resonated with that for sure. So I'm sure a lot of people will. And I know it's hard to do a read on a collective, but I'm I'd say everyone listening to that will 100%. And what I loved about that is that I definitely agree. There's this feeling of wasting, feeling of wasting away. And I think a lot of people relate to that, and you're not even looking at the opportunities that are right in front of us. So, very cool. Very cool. So Zoe, how, so if people want to come see you and get a reading, I mean, are you taking people on, or what's the deal? Yeah.
So if people want to come for a reading, I have a website which you can book at, which is zoeloretta.com.au.
Yeah, zoeloretta.com.au. Like it.
So you can read up on my services there, but basically I can do via Zoom, or I do face-to-face readings in Brunswick West as well, in Victoria. And usually they go for about an hour. And basically we unpack and find out, what's going on for you in that reading. And so, you can always book online. But the other thing is you can follow me on my Instagram page and also Facebook, which is, the handle is Zoe Loretta 44. 44 is my favorite.
What happened to Zoe Loretta? Who stole that from you?
Someone else stole it.
44? What's 44?
So 44 is actually the angel number.
I'm 44.
Are you?
Yeah.
Angel.
Does that mean yay? I'm fucking angel. That's awesome.
Yes. No, it's a common number that I saw when I started to awaken, and it was just everywhere. And I was like, what does this mean? And then I was like looking at it, and I was like, it's an angel number, and basically means that you are protected.
You're protected. Yeah.
So that's pretty much where you can message me on that if you want to contact me as well. I've also got a contact me on my website as well, so you can always email me there as well
Nice.
from there.
Awesome. Well, for you listeners and viewers, get a reading with Zoe because I can tell you from firsthand experience, she's fucking unbelievable. She's really good. And you know, it was really cool to dive in with you today and find out the real meaning of from your perspective of you know, and it seems really cool that it's obviously a gift that you have, but it's something you use the cards to complement those gifts that you already have, which is pretty epic. That's awesome, Zoe. So cool to chat to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Tommy. It's
No
been
worries.
wonderful to chat to you too.
Yeah, cool. And
More
then
often.
what's that?
We should do this more often.
Yeah, definitely. No, well, I don't. I reckon you'll be on a lot more podcasts coming up, and yeah, it's like it's almost like you've just sort of exploded out of nowhere, and everyone's going, "Have you seen Zoe Loretta yet? Have you seen Zoe Loretta yet? Have you? Yeah, 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 yeah." I'm like, "Fuck this! I'm getting on my podcast."
Thanks.
Thanks, Zoe.
Tommy. Thank you.